a divine choice?
That's a pretty deep question, Al.
Choice. I mentioned using a practitioner. My first practitioner, which I call my angel, was Reverend Sheila. And I was going through a very, very emotional transition in my life, and I sat with Reverend Sheila every Tuesday. Tuesday evening, I don't know how long. And you know, when you talk about a half-hour session or an hour session, it was never that short. But she was able to get me to understand that whatever I was feeling and whatever was happening, and of course I learned that it was not quite happening to me, that I had a choice on how I was going to handle it, how I was going to get through it. And part of that choice was, are you going to be a victim, or are you going to take a stance and just be at peace and see it, and see, you know, what part did you play in it? And you always play a part, even if you accepted what was being done, you still play a part. So she taught me about choice and how God gave me choice. And I have a choice for everything in my life. I have a choice sitting here. I had a choice rather to say to Jerry, no, I'm not going to do this. It's my choice. So now in my life, it's so much easier, meditation, prayer, reading, practitioner, to always remember, no matter what it is, you do have a choice.
Thank you. I think I've always known that I had choice, but I may have misused it. And I think learning about choice and free will since coming to the Center of Peace has protected me, you know, from making poor choices and poor decisions for myself. Right? There have been times when, you know, I could have chosen to go out, have a good time, and then miss a need that I needed to meet the next day, right? So I learned about choice in practical ways. Like, you can choose to do this, but it's going to have repercussions on that. And but the other piece of the choice was that, you know, just that free will. Like, Crystal, you have free will to do all good. You don't have to, you know, think in your lower self. Like, your choice can make you healthier. Your choices can make you happier. Your choices can benefit other people. And so learning about choice to me helped me create programs that helped me keep going at my business even when I wanted to not keep going. But it also helped me to encourage other people about the choice in their life, you know, in their lives. And dealing with the women that I deal with who support incarcerated loved ones, you know, it's almost like they have no choice, or they believe that they have no choice. And so when we talk about those things, I can see the light, you know, the light bulb going off, like, yeah, I can choose to stay in this or choose not to stay in this, or I can choose to be happy in this or not be happy in this. And but whatever they choose and whatever I choose is, you know, it's my story to tell, you know. I hope that made sense.
On a lighter note, about choice, I don't think I was complaining, but I live in Lansdowne, so every time I come to the center for service, for Saturday events, for classes, it's a 3-hour round trip minimum for me. Usually it can be 5 or 6 hours once we get going. And so I was mentioning this to a friend, and she looked at me and says, why don't you just go to a different church? And I looked at her like she was out her mind. What you mean? I've been looking for this church for 20 years. And so that shocked me, the emotional connection that I feel to this place. And that was insane. And the reality is that all those hours on the road, I do find Francisca and I coming up with a great game day, and Rita, and the stuff that we do around here. You'll see an interesting lobby out there based on train station. I think that was Nadir's basic idea, but and Chris contributed how to make this place, talk the train station motif, getting on the right track, get on board with education, and just the fun that we have around here. I have that extra time to think about things that are of spirit, things that are center-centered. And so even though it's a long trip, I find that when you choose to look at things differently, you can make it worth it. It is a high priority in my life, so hey, not a problem. I'm happy to take that time, wherever we are.
Anyone else have a question? There were a couple things I just wanted to comment on that have come up. The idea that every time you read something, even if you've read it before, something new comes up. The idea of choice and personal responsibility, those are all very central to the evolution of our consciousness. And so that's part of what you get from classes. So just the thought of that. And if you are not taking classes, if you're not doing the spiritual tools of any kind on a regular basis, then as our wonderful panel has described the impact it's made on their lives, ask yourself, why am I not doing it? What is it that is standing in the way of me discovering the life my soul is seeking? So that's the question I want to leave you with, if no one has any other questions. Do you have another question?
I know that for me, myself, journaling is very important in my life. And I was just wondering if journaling helped you any.
Yes, I've been journaling since I was 16 years old, and it's interesting over time. Journaling, you can do it in a book. So I go shopping and I'll buy a new book, then I write 2, 4, 3, 6 pages, and then I have an empty book. Then I will journal on the computer, which is easy and fun, but then you lose files. But I will say it helps. It helps, especially if you can go back and reread what you've written. And I made a practice of going back during, the New Year's Eve, that week of New Year's Eve, the first week, I will reread my journals from when I was 16 to about 20. My life took a significant turn around that time, and it helps me to see how far I've come. I mean, I'm almost 50, so to be able to read back to when I was, 16 to 20 and see what a hot mess I was, and realize that some kind of hot mess, but more developed hot mess. But yes, journaling works. I really highly recommend journaling.
I'm not sure how long I've been journaling, and it's been off and on, but I can tell you I go back and I read the year before, and I remember one time recently sitting in the room that I used to meditate and pray, and I remember reading, it was 4 years ago. I remember reading one particular month when I was going through a heavy transition, and I read it, and I read it again and again, and then I read what was most recent. And I was standing in my meditation room, and I actually talked out loud. I guess I was talking to my cat. And I said, "You are a mighty, mighty woman." Because I think about what I went through and where I am today. And this helped me to be where I am today. And it just brought tears in my eyes. And it's one thing to say that you're doing this, but when you live it, that's when you start really feeling it. And I just felt so grateful that after those 4 years, God is, I am.
How many people have taken classes? Our panel has described their experiences. Would anyone like to share an experience that they've had that was just one? Keep it very short. Okay.
I remember
Could
when
you stand up?
I got
No?
a back
Okay.
problem,
Okay.
but I'll speak into the mic and
Okay.
just say it was definitely a big change in how I looked at life and who I was becoming and who I am. The last class I took was Roots. All of my classes did something different. Roots, it was just amazing. But I could tell everybody that definitely take classes because they change your consciousness to a place where you have forgiveness and where you know things are in divine order and you are the change. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to be brief. I went to all the different churches, all the different religions, all that stuff. And I took something from each of them. But what I didn't get, that I do get here, was that I always believed that God is good. God was good. God is always going to be good. And when I didn't get that where I was going, I would walk away. God has been here, in me, as me, through me, in this place, in this building, in these people, and has not gone away. You know, so that's what I got from here. And the only question I want to ask from the panel up there is, now all of us say, no, I don't want to be one. Have you thought about being a practitioner?
Thanks, Vicki, for sure.
All right, so we're really running out of time now, so we got one more.
I'll try to be brief. My name is Anthony Hunt. It's my sister Vicki and Roxanne right there, and I'm visiting. I wanted to make a statement and then ask a question of all the panelists. First, the statement is that you may not be able to control what happens to you in life, but you sure can control how you let it affect you. That's a general statement. But my question is, in utilizing science of the mind tools, you have visualization, third eye connection, you have verbalization, which is, you know, obviously it speaks for itself, the audible skills, and then you have emotional ties, connection. Those three, how do you see yourself using those three tools in science of the mind treatment in your life and as you help others in their life?
I'll just take the last one, the emotional. Say it again, emotional ties. What was the last one?
One was visualization, verbalization, and emotional connection.
Emotional connection.
Visualization, third eye. Verbalization speaks for itself. Emotionally, having the person or yourself feel as if what it is that you want is already happening from an emotional standpoint.
Did everybody hear that?
Yeah, it was heavy.
Okay.
For me, I'm just going to take it you know, the population that I serve in terms of my prison population. I have women from all walks of life. I have Muslims, I have Christians, I have no Buddhists, but mostly Muslims and Christians. And it's kind of hard for them to grasp what it is that I do. You know, people always ask me, Crystal, well, what's your religion? And I just, you know, explain it simply. I'm like, it's new thought, you know, it's what you think is what will be, you know, it's the law of attraction. And then people can identify with the law of attraction. Oh, like the book, The Secret? Yeah, kind of just like the book, The Secret, you know. And so when I speak in layman's terms, you know, and I have this emotional connection to the women that I'm serving, it's easy for me to translate this practice into the everyday life. Even in my van as I'm driving up the turnpike, the music that I play. I mean, one of the things that I enjoy about the music ministry, and particularly you, is that it's not gospel music per se, but it's good music, right? And so good music is translatable. And so my emotional connection comes through the music that I play, and my service is like a ministry for me, and I'm able to infuse the practices here into my daily life. And I see it showing up in the women that I'm serving. So, I try to use it every day. And visualization is, I told that story a long time ago. I came here on a bus my first week, and the second week I tried to come back. It's goats back there, just FYI, because I had to walk that way. And then I saw myself the next week driving up, and sure enough, I had my first truck and drove up on these grounds. So visualization works.
Quickly, visualization, indeed, I agree with you, and that's what I needed to do with my students, to see them differently. I look at you and I see so many beautiful head wraps and hairstyles and just beauty, but sometimes it's not so easy to see such beauty, but knowing that we do not look at the surface, that the true jewel, the king, the queen, the child of God is way beyond anything that we see with our physical eyes, and training, and getting the training to see with that spiritual eye. That I see happening in my life, and that I'm able to apply to my friends, family, and certainly my students is so important. Oh, sorry.
Okay, I think we're going to have to cut it short. I know that everybody's finally gotten a little bit rested and into it, but it's all good. This is a community. This is a community that supports all that you are evolving to be. And we're all practitioners. I want to make that point. As you can see from our wonderful panel, they're practitioners as well, and you are practitioners, whether you wear a stole or not. Every lesson, every opening in your consciousness is there for you to share. You are a practitioner, a wonderful, beautiful soul. And I'm going to give it up to Deborah and let her wrap us up. Oh, who's doing it? Jerry.
Sandy has pretty much wrapped us up. I don't think I really need to say too much more, other than the fact that I do want to introduce you to the committee members, and I'd like them to stand. Cynthia Banks, Mark Keys, Deborah Ford, Sandra Forrest, and Patrick McCarthy, who's not able to be with us today. You heard lots. When we say there's only one mind, when we planned this, we did not know today was going to be the educational fair. But today is the educational fair. So I would ask each of you, even if you don't think you're interested in a class, to just kind of stop by the fair to see the classes that are offered and take a leap of faith that you're ready to be who you say you are. Thank you to our wonderful panel.
Oh, thank you.